The Battle of Karatsepes, when the army killed itself. Night fell over the Austrian army camp near a small town in the Balkans. The burning fires between the tents illuminated the faces of the soldiers, exhausted after a long march. A mixture of languages was spoken: German, Hungarian, Italian, Serbian. Voices overlapped, each unable to understand the other's language, all anticipating a morning that might catch the Ottomans by surprise. But some cavalrymen, exhausted and thirsty, had returned from a reconnaissance trip with barrels of wine they had purchased from gypsy merchants. As soon as the barrels arrived, the soldiers began to celebrate, shouting and singing, in an attempt to escape the gloom of war. In a corner of the camp, infantrymen approached the barrels, reaching for their share. An angry cavalryman shouted, "Go away! This is our booty!" Another responded in a different tone, which the cavalryman did not understand, and pushed him roughly. Voices rose, then hands rushed towards rifles. At that moment, a shot echoed through the darkness. "Turks! Turks!" The shots roused the camp. One soldier, his eyes bulging with fear, shouted at the top of his lungs, "The Turks! They're here!" The words were like a spark that set an entire army on fire. The soldiers, who didn't know each other's language, understood nothing but danger. The Hungarians opened fire, and the Germans responded in kind. The horses went berserk and charged, smashing into the wagons. The cannons were pointed at the shadows. Soldiers shouting in German were shot by their Czech comrades, who mistook them for Ottomans. The night was filled with shouts, "Back! Don't shoot!" But the voices were mingling in different languages, transforming into a vague threat to the ears of the others. An army against itself. In the midst of the chaos, the commander-in-chief tried to gain control. He mounted his horse, brandishing his sword. "Stop! Stop, you fools!" But one of the soldiers, terrified, mistook the commander for an Ottoman horseman coming out of the darkness and opened fire. The horse neighed and fell, and the commander was nearly crushed underfoot by the fleeing men. The scene was like a volcano. A nearby river swelled with drowned soldiers trying to escape, supply wagons were crushed underfoot by the horses, and gunpowder ignited small fires on the outskirts of the camp. Within hours, the entire camp was in complete chaos. Morning of ridicule. At sunrise, the Ottomans arrived. They found no army standing in their way, but scattered corpses, burned tents, discarded weapons, and stunned soldiers who didn't know who had killed whom. The Ottoman soldiers laughed in astonishment, as if fate had gifted them a victory without a fight. As for the Austrian army, it lost thousands of dead and wounded, not at the hands of its enemies, but at its own hands. Thus, the Battle of Karatsepes entered history, not as a heroic epic, but as a bloody farce proving that fear and ignorance can destroy armies greater than the swords of enemies.